Welcome to the Motive for Life radio show. This is Robert Christensen. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk to you about negative thinking. Negative thinking is, at its very essence, the source of a bad life. If you don't like what is happening around you, the way you change it is to sort out and find the negative thinking that has got you locked in and has driven you into the corner of the life that you have right now. Now, let's say that you have a great life. Let's say everything's going well. There still are opportunities to grab and get rid of the negative thoughts that are in your brain, the thought patterns that are ingrained to you. There's so many negative habitual thoughts that exist in human consciousness that it's innumerable, right? It just seems we're plagued with people complaining about other people and being pissed off at somebody else, factions, religious disbeliefs or religious conflicts, national conflicts, even within communities, families, you name it, everybody's fighting. And at a very core seed of that is the negative thinking that starts with, I don't agree with you and I'm going to get mad, or I disagree with how I see something out there, or somebody offended me and I don't like how I feel now, so I'm mad or I'm upset or I'm hurt or I'm brokenhearted or somebody injured me either mentally or physically. It goes on and on and on. We seem so fragile. Oh my God, we seem so fragile sometimes. And how do we get that resilience so that when we detect and we see and we feel those negative thoughts, we know how to break out? That is like my biggest objective to teach everybody on this planet, is how to get out of negative thinking. And believe me, this is the heaviest lifting of all. It is the most difficult of all the mental activities that we could go after, is to say, I don't want to think that way anymore, ever again, because it hurts me way more than it hurts the other person. It's like me drinking poison and expect somebody else to die. It's a ridiculous concept, but we seem addicted to it. Eckhart Tolle, in his book, The Power of Now, absolutely nailed it. We are addicted to pain. We are addicted to the negative thinking, and I want to detox. I want to go into rehab, and I want to come out of that negative thinking and embrace a beautiful, wonderful life. And for myself, that has happened. 99% of the time, I am viewing and witnessing positive or just equal thoughts of just equanimity, of just basic love and a good life. That wasn't always the case for me. I think I had 99.99% of my life prior to this transformation that occurred in my life some years back, was that I was all in these negative, but I'm at a very basic level, I'm an optimistic person. But how did I get filled with all these negative thoughts? So that's what this podcast is about today, is how do we break out? How do we stop that traffic that seems to be never ending in the negative direction? So I equate it to vehicles or cars, traffic, all heading one way. And it's pretty hard to fight that current of traffic if you're trying to go the other way. So you got to step out of it. You got to mindfully say, no, I'm going to get into a vehicle that's heading the other direction. I'm going to get into the other lanes. I'm going to try to grab a hold of the wheel of my life and take control of my thoughts. Now, this whole concept of taking control of your own thoughts, grabbing the wheel of your own vehicle of life, is often just so foreign to people. What do you mean I can control my thinking? This is the first comment or the first emotion most people come when I'm coaching or teaching somebody, and when I'm trying to elevate their worthiness, is that it starts with you. I remember this conversation I had with one of my clients, and they were so focused on the negative view that they had of doctors. And every time they would see a doctor, there was always something negative about that they had to say about the doctor. And it goes all the way back to a wound that they had when a doctor made a mistake. And so that resentment that was still there had not healed. As a matter of fact, it got infected. So that heart wound that they had, that damage that they had emotionally from that, was never dealt with. And as a result, they've built this fence around this wound so nobody can get in and then do it again. And on top of that, anybody who even resembled an authority in the medical profession immediately brought up the wound and became a resentment in their life. And they would build up all this negative thinking and negative energy to defend that wound so it doesn't get touched again. So now you're at the very heart of where negative thinking comes from. They start with a wound. The negative thinking that occurs in my life has always started with somebody hurting me, whether intentional or otherwise, physical or mental, doesn't matter. I carry the wound. It doesn't heal if I don't attend to it. But when I'm small or a young child and I get injured, I build up a defense mechanism right there because I don't know what else to do. That's the mental capacity of a child is to, they don't have the capacity to navigate their way out of that or to think their way out. But as an adult, we do. But what happens is we pick up these wounds when we're young, we build up all these defenses around them. And as we get old, they don't serve us anymore. And we end up not knowing how to socialize right. And we end up being tortured by our brain. But next thing you know, I got physical problems. I'm having diabetes and hypertension and autoimmune diseases, and I got back pains, and I've got all sorts of muscle spasm problems, and I got skin, and I'm losing my skin problems, and I got losing my hair. Go on and on and on because stress from negative thinking is polluting my body, and it's killing me. I don't want to die early. I want to live. I want to be a guy who has a great life, and when it's time for me to go, I want to pass in peace. I want to be at peace with everybody else. I want to be connected. I want to be loved. I want to be loved. So I don't want these negative thoughts in my head anymore. So here's a couple things that we got to start with. You practice at some level every morning a little bit of meditation, just a little bit. Even if you're not meditating now or if you are meditating, what you'll realize is that the race car track of negative thoughts in your head will fly around and fly around and fly around. You say to yourself, why am I sitting down for 2, 3, 5 minutes listening to my voice inside my own head chatter away? Because you need brain training. The first step in brain training, first step in identifying your negative thoughts so that you can shut them down is to be able to witness them. Be able to say, there's the negative thought. I don't want to think that way anymore about my mom or my dad. I don't want to think that way anymore about this person who harmed me. I'm willing to find just a little inch of forgiveness. I'm willing to find a little forgiveness for myself for the bad things that I think I did to people. Okay, so meditation is that first step in brain training. It allows you to enter into a space where you say, hey, I'm not here to tell my brain it's good or bad. I'm not here to say that what I'm thinking is right or wrong. All I'm doing here is just kind of getting a view on what's happening in my brain. I want to tell you a story about somebody who I'm on a text messaging group of meditation accountability that we have every morning. We've been doing it for all during the COVID time because we weren't able to meet in person. And there's a young man on there who just started meditating with us, and he was getting like 1 minute, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, that type of thing. And he's a very much an athlete. He's always active. He's just got an active brain, right? And it was really hard for him to sit down every day, but he did it. And all he did was he sat down for 1, 2 minutes, and that was it. He just got the discipline to show up. Now, what happened in that 1, 2 minutes? It doesn't matter. Does not matter, does not matter, does not matter. He just showed up, okay? It's like they say in yoga, 90% of yoga is getting to the mat. Same thing here with meditation. Just show up, do 1 minute. I highly recommend that you get one of these mobile apps, one called Insight Timer. It's free. It has a whole bunch of really great people on there, such as yours truly, Robert Christensen. I'm on Insight Timer. I love the meditations that I produce that are on there. Feel free to pull them down. They're free. They're for you to use whenever you want. But they have this great timer on it. Just a simple timer, and it tracks how many that you do and tells me if I'm showing up every day, reminds me. And so that is the first step, is to start practicing the witnessing of your thoughts, and that happens during meditation. Now, what we found, like with our new guy who joined our meditation group, he's up to 7 and 8 minutes now. Okay. And that's been about a year. That's good progress for him. And so he's able to sit for 7, 8, maybe even 9 minutes in the morning without having to jump up and run out. His thinking is getting better. Okay. Some people go fast, some people go slow. You have to decide what speed you want to go in meditation. It took me several years before I could sit for 20 minutes and have some degree of mental control. Now, what I mean by several years, I'm talking like 3 or 4 years. All right. What I mean by mental control is that when I sat down for 20 minutes, I felt like I was in control of my thinking. Okay. That's kind of journey we on right here. Okay. Because to change the direction of a river, we have to do a lot of construction. All right. So that mental thinking, we want to redirect. And so today, when I witness a negative thought, I stop it and I say, no, I'm not going to think that way. I'm choosing to say the Ho'oponopono prayer instead. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. And I'm sorry. I did that this morning. I got upset at somebody in the meeting who was doing something that I didn't like. And I said to myself, you know what? I don't like that emotion. They're just doing their own thing. Who am I to criticize? And this thought just came out of nowhere and all this work I had. But it was so foreign in my brain, I decided I didn't want that to be there anymore. So today I said, right after, I go, no, I don't want that. I said the prayer 2 or 3 times. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. And I'm sorry. The Ho'oponopono prayer. Thank you. I love you. Please forgive me. And I'm sorry. And I was holding the vision of that person in my mind. And literally the thing that they were doing stopped. They stopped doing it. And they smiled at me. I went, holy crap. It worked right there. It literally worked. And the resentment or whatever was the beginning of that anger I had inside me instantly went away. So I have control of my own thinking. This is the message. Get control of your thinking. You have that choice. And what happens then is my heart starts opening up after that, man. So I got better. I just got better. Whew, I'll tell you. All right. So now you know what the second thing is. I just told you what the second thing is. It's once I caught myself thinking something, I chose to think differently. I chose to turn it around and look at that person with compassion instead of anger. Now this, my friends, is the trick. How to break out of negative thinking is to make the choice once you identify a negative thought that you want to do the opposite. This is hard. Let's say, for example, somebody's on the freeway and they come roaming up on your tail and you get angry because that person's behind you, they're tailgating you, and they zoom around you at a really high speed. At times that makes me mad. I feel like I'm in danger. I'm scared, right? Because someone's being very irresponsible while they're driving. I have a choice when I recognize that negative thought, and most of the times I do, to relax and decide to just basically say, I have compassion for you and I love you and I'm going to let you go. Now that is the choice right there. This is how you break out of negative thinking, is to catch yourself in the negative thought, breathe, make sure this out breath is longer than the in breath. Breathe in and relax and say, I love you. And then pay attention to the way you're driving. And it goes away within seconds. It does for me, maybe because I've had a little more training on it. It may take a minute or two for you. I don't know. Everybody's at a different spot. But for me today, I don't want to pollute the rest of my day. I want nothing but positive, loving energy in my body. I want every cell in my body to feel love. I want every organ in my body to be working at optimum speed and to last a long time, because I love my life. I want to live well over 100. And the only way that's going to happen is if I treat my body well and it knows it's loved and that the energy coming from my mind is positive. This is the path that we're on right now. Elevation of self-worth. Boom. Breaking out of negative self-thought, negative self-emotions, negative self-beliefs. This is how we get our worthiness up to that next level up. All right. So I just taught you the third piece, that how to break out of negative thinking, and that is to breathe. Just to breathe. When you exhale longer than your inhale, you are sending a signal to your nervous system to relax. The fight or flight instinct will reduce and go away. Now, if you are just inundated with negative thinking, that you just can't seem to get out of it, there are a couple breathing techniques that I teach on the Insight Timer application that are for free. If you type on the internet and Google, go Robert Christensen, Insight Timer, 2 words, and you'll find my webpage there, and you'll see all of my meditations. Now, there's a number of those meditations that open up with a 3-part breathing exercise, basically where you're inhaling through your nose. You hold your stomach muscles tight while you inhale, okay? And you're holding your breath. And what it does is it brings that energy up into your brain. And as you hold it, it kind of just scatters all that thinking out. And all you can think about is holding your breath. Now, this technique settles your brain down. So I'll teach you it right now. So what I'm going to do is I want you to put your feet flat on the ground. Okay, I'm going to give you a chance to sit down. If you're driving, don't do this, okay? Please be in a safe place. But, I mean, if you're in a subway, or if you're riding along, or if you're at home, just stop right now and take a minute out and clear your brain. Let me teach you how this works. Okay, here we go. So you're going to have your feet flat on the ground, and you're going to make sure that your back is slightly arched, okay? So that you're a little bit rigid. Take your hands, turn them palms up, and put them either on your lap or on your knees. Okay, connect your thumb and your index finger in a circle, kind of that meditation handheld that you see so many people do. Yeah, that's important. So go ahead and put your hands that way. Close your eyes and lift your chin so that it's parallel to the floor. Now, your eyes will naturally drop to between your eyebrows. All right, now you're looking at what they call the third eye. So here's the practice. We're going to release all the air out of our lungs at one time, and then tighten from our groin all the way up into our belly, the muscles, and then inhale. And so you're not going to be able to fill up all of your lungs like you usually do. You're only going to fill up a portion of it, but you're going to tighten everything and then let that energy come all the way up through the back of your spine, up your neck, into your brain, and out the crown of your head. Okay? And then when we let that energy, that consciousness go up through the top of our head, we're going to hold our breath. We're going to hold our breath for about 20 seconds, okay? All right, make sure you're doing this in a safe place. So here we go. Release all the air out of your nose. Hold your stomach muscles, your groin, your stomach muscles tight. Now, inhale. And hold. Hold. And release and relax. Keep your stomach collapsed. Tighten your groin all the way up through your stomach muscles, and inhale through your nose. And hold. And release. One last time. Here we go. Collapse your stomach and your groin. Inhale. And hold. Lift that energy all the way above your head. Hold. And release and relax. Keep your eyes closed. Open, soften, and relax. If you've noticed, there's a moment there where no negative thoughts were in. All you can think about was holding your breath and what was going to happen next. Even for the smallest period, there was no thinking about the future or the past. Only now. All right. When you're ready, open your eyes. Now, you should be, or at least feeling a little bit more settled. That's the whole point of changing our negative thoughts, to move out of the negative thought patterns and to just relax and to show love and compassion and to reach out with our hearts and to connect with everybody that we know, at least some way, to let them know that you love them. Just for today, all I want you to do is today is just to reach out, even with text, and let somebody know that you care. Somebody who you know might be sick. Somebody you know that just needs to that you need to say hello to. A friend, a neighbor, community people. If you got a dog or a cat or some animal, just pick it up and give it a kiss and say, I love you. You'll feel good. And you cannot have the negative thought patterns if you're expressing love to somebody. They cannot coexist. And this practice that I've given you today, the practice of just starting to meditate, of breathing, of making a choice to show love versus negativity, and this breathing exercise that I just gave you just now. All of these things are tools that you can use in your day-to-day life to break out of negative thinking. What's this all mean? Why would you do this? Because you're worthy of the love that comes to you. You're worthy of the success that will follow. You're worthy of an abundant and prosperous life. A prosperous life. Prosperous person. A prosperous life. You're worthy of all these things. I love you. This is Robert Christensen. Be sure to pick up the book, The Bug in Our Brain. That's my book. It's on Amazon and Kindle. Go to Insight Timer, pull down the free meditations, The Gift, which is our fundamental self-worth practice. We do it for 90 days. It's a reading. Do it in the morning, do it in the evenings. There is a mantra affirmation recording on the Insight Timer for The Gift. Feel free to pick it up there. Love you, love you, love you. All right, this is the end of the podcast. Be sure to subscribe on the Apple and to rank us. Give us a good ranking if that's what you feel. If not, you can always rank us and say that's very good either. Either way, it doesn't much matter. I very much would love to have your feedback, however it may come in. All right, bye-bye, folks. This has been a Motive for Life Productions, all rights reserved.